welcome everyone to the regular board meeting of the Sunrise School Division Board of Trustees. My name is Paul Mang, I'm the board chair, and I'm going to call our meeting to order. We are going to have O Canada sung by Hazelwood School. Please stand if you can do so. Thank you very much to Hazelwood School. Very much appreciated. We're going to have our treaty acknowledgement. I've asked Trustee Wilson to do that for us, please.
We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thanks, Donna. For those of you that are online, I'm going to just go around and make sure I introduce everyone to you. My name is Paul Mang. I'm the board chair. We have Superintendent Reed. We have Secretary Treasurer Thiessen. We have Assistant Superintendent Fieldberg. We have Trustee Rowland, Trustee Wilson. We have Neil Harrison tonight, our maintenance manager. We have Trustee Smith. We have Trustee Nicol, Trustee Rowan, Trustee Dent, Trustee Boydson. We have our board support in Sarah Scott, and we have Trustee Harris beside me. And that's the contingent that we have here. We're going to do the adoption of our agenda. So be it resolved that the board approve our agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Dent and seconded by Trustee Nicol. Any questions to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. It passed 9-0. Thank you for that. 3.1 is our chair's comments. So if you have, if you're listening online and you have any questions, please send your questions to jody.thiessen@sunrisesd.ca. Put your name and your address in the sender, and then we'll try to get to your questions, we will get to your questions during question period at the end of our meeting. We normally open it up to share a story with our trustees. So trustees, share a story. Anybody want to share? Trustee Nicol.
The nutritional program had started in Whitemouth now. It comprised of a breakfast program as soon as the students arrive. Then there's a snack program in the morning, and there's food available all day. If a student forgets his lunch or did not bring one, they can receive a lunch by contacting designated staff. The breakfast contains many different options, probably 10. So whether you're a vegetarian and vegan or you need gluten-free food, your needs will be accommodated. There are also special days where baked goods and other cooked foods are available. They receive, in the past, not necessarily this year, actually this year they got donated food and money for the program. Many of the people that have a garden are donating tomatoes and peppers and carrots for the program. Terra Fox Run will take place this Friday at 11:10. So if you happen to be in Whitemouth, you can go and do the Terra Fox Run. And after the Terra Fox Run, you can go and have lunch. There is usually a community participation is quite high. If you want to see me, I'll be barbecuing.
Thanks, Trustee Nicol. Trustee Rowan?
I wanted to start by giving a big thank you to Superintendent Reed and to Divisional Principal Chris Gaspardi for attending the OPUE meeting earlier this month and explaining the Ukrainian program review that's scheduled for this year. The parents really appreciated your attendance and the information. Also, I've had a chance to stop in at a couple of our schools over the past couple of weeks, whether it's during the school day where classes are in session or in the evenings with parent groups. I have to say it's been nice getting to see everyone. After the summer break, you can tell people are refreshed from the break and enjoying the routine that comes with being back at school. The parent groups I've met with so far have lots of exciting things planned for this upcoming school year. So keep your eye out for big things coming at your child's school. And I just wanted to finish by mentioning the SCI PAC will be having their first meeting of the year next Tuesday, September 23rd.
Thanks, Trustee Rowan. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to share a couple things. Parby School had their open house on September the 10th from 4 to 6 o'clock. Barbecue and hot dogs were going, and a good turnout, so it was really good to see. Parby School has their PAC meeting tomorrow night, and so invite as many people that are out there to come to the PAC meeting. I do want to give out a shout out to a couple of trustees here, and I'm going to embarrass him, but if you're not aware, this is the stamp catalog with Mr. Harris's name on it. When he went to the when he was in Toronto last week, there was a conference, and it was really about Mr. Harris and the stamp catalog that he puts together. And so I've never had my name with my book on it, so I'm embarrassing you lots. But kudos to you, Mr. Harris, for this. I'm going to share this around with everybody. But if you want to know something about stamps, Mr. Harris is the guy to go ahead and see that. So we'll pass this around. And the other one is that I want to talk a little bit about Trustee Wilson. When I called the other day and I got an answer is that it's Dr. Donna Wilson, and I go, did I get the right person? And sure enough, so I did a little bit of research, and if you're not aware, Donna has a doctorate in philosophy, and I didn't know that, and I'm pretty impressed, Donna, certainly about that. And so kudos to you, Donna, for the work that the two of you do all the time, certainly with us. It really helps our team and whatnot. And again, it's about shout outs, and I just wanted to share those kind of things. Pretty impressive. Anyone else want to share? Okay. I'm going to turn this over to Jody.
Thank you. So next on the docket we have our maintenance manager, Neil Harrison. Neil comes from a great background with lots of experience in a variety of subject matter that really helps the role here as maintenance manager. So Neil's been here for about 4 months on the job, and congratulations, he still is here. So, so within the first 6 months, he's had some challenges over the summer, seeing how some of these summer projects are going, and to round it all off, he's now giving a board presentation. So, it's been great working with Neil, seeing his approach to finding a solution, working with the schools. So I'm looking forward to his presentation to you all. And I'll hand it over to Neil.
Excellent. No, thank you very much. I appreciate the invite. Yeah, this is a great opportunity to let you know what I was up to this summer. And yes, I survived the first 4 months and better off for it. So I appreciate your time. Just want to wish everybody a good evening, trustees, member of the board, and everybody tuning in at home. Once again, thank you for giving me a few minutes to share what's been happening in our division over the past few months. It has been a busy summer, full of a few surprises, but I'm excited to give you an update on the work that we've completed and what's ahead for the school year. Go ahead, So my understanding is that you've probably seen these slides before, but as someone who's new to the division in some capacity, I thought it might also be good to share some of this information to people out on the interwebs that might be new to the division as well. So we do place a very high importance on our schools, our school grounds, ensuring that we have a safe and continually evolving academic, to meet the academic needs of our students and our staff. So we're in charge of basically the long-term stewardship of our schools, and because it's vital to ensure that we serve our community for many years to come. Next slide. So just a quick kind of breakdown of the department. Basically, I'm assisted by my maintenance clerk in the administration of the department. We employ a full-time maintenance worker who performs maintenance division-wide. We also have a custodial team made up of 13 head custodians and 31 cleaners who maintain over 750,000 square feet of space. So we have a large area to cover, and that includes also our non-school buildings like bus garages and adult ed. So next one there. 11 out of our 13 schools, this was a good fact to learn, was 11 out of our 13 schools were built in the early to late 60s. So they do require a lot of preventative maintenance as well as updating. So that's probably 80% of the job right there. All projects are prioritized according to safety, building operation needs, and of course budget to help perform preventive measures to prolong the life of our buildings. Those are typically funded through capital projects by the province. This summer, fortunately, we didn't have any capital projects in the works because I don't know if I could have handled that workload, but we don't currently have any of capital projects in the works at this time. Next slide. So yeah, our goals are basically to identify, plan, and resolve any issues that we're finding in our buildings across the division, and to maintain these buildings in a way that ensures the safety of the occupants and enhances the educational experience of our students, teachers, and the community at large. So now for the main event, as you all might want to know, is basically we'll start at the beginning. The onboarding process was hit the ground running. The first order of business was to go division-wide to the schools to meet the head custodians, principals. Jody accompanied me on a few of those, as well as my predecessor, Derek Ryback. We reviewed schools' capital D requests for maintenance. I was also introduced to a lot of our vendors and trades that have served our division over a number of years, so it was great to get to know them. At the end of May, I timed it just right for the MASBO conference in Brandon, so that was a great opportunity to meet other maintenance managers across the province. They were kind of shocked when I told them that I was 3 weeks into the job, so we had a pretty good laugh about that. But it was very informative, and it was a great way to make connections with people that are in the same role. June was pretty busy. We conducted a lot of interviews for cleaners in Lac du Bonnet and Beausejour, as well as spare cleaners. So that's been kind of identified by our custodial staff as a need right now, is spare cleaners. So the maintenance clerk, Roxanne, has been busy interviewing spare cleaners for the past month as well. And June was also the month that we started work on the Powerview canteen reno. That was spearheaded by the school there. So you'll hear more about that in a moment. So next note. So yeah, of course, the main event is always getting the schools ready for the new year, sanitizing, cleaning, waxing floors, and ensuring that it's ready for teachers when they show up, and secretaries the last 2 weeks in August. So yeah, the custodians did a fantastic job. A huge thank you to our custodial staff, because it is a monumental task. and they do it year in and year out. We have a very experienced crew of head custodians, and they did a great job. There was even time for some painting, which is one of those things that often gets kind of put to the side for a PD day, but a number of our schools were able to get completed in time for with enough time to get some painting done as well to refresh the building. So I just have to send out a huge thank you to the custodial staff. They obviously put a great deal of care and pride in their work, and it showed in the end results. I think the next photo there, you can see some of the examples there. Thank you again. Next slide. One of the important things is our annual inspections. So we completed a number of our annual inspections, including a playground inspection division-wide. Also our life safety inspection, like fire alarms, emergency lighting, as well as fire extinguisher inspections division-wide. We also had a few schools have their gym floors refinishing. This is an annual, typically an annual thing for especially senior schools that get the most use. So we had several schools completed during the summer break, and we also have 3 more schools lined up for PD days this fall. We also completed some regular HVAC maintenance, which is important because we're getting close to heating season. Unfortunately, I hope I'm not the person that brings that news to the, I think we all realize that. Let's see some seasonal items. So yeah, it's not summer without regular grass cutting. Well, the summer was dry for the most part, especially at the start of the summer. These last few weeks, especially last 2 weeks in August and first few weeks here in September, while this rain has really meant that the grass has taken off. So they've been busy, hard at work. The school's looking at, I've been around a few spots, and our sub-trades are doing a great job on the grass cutting. At the same time, they also helped us, and our staff helped us identify some potentially dangerous trees in some sites, so we've been keeping the arborists busy as well. So next slide. So we had some small projects to oversee this summer. Powerview School was by far the busiest. In this photo here, you can see a renovation that was completed of room 82 for the alternative education. Complete with kitchen area and an adjoining classroom. This was spearheaded by the school. A really neat project, and they did a great job organizing this and planning it. Another one, meanwhile, down the hallway is their canteen that received an upgrade to bring the facility up to code. This was another one that was spearheaded by the school, and this isn't that wasn't the latest photo. I hope to get a finished photo, but that's a good idea of what had taken place there. So it was really nice. So kudos to them for spearheading that work. The next project was a weight room that was at SCI that was started over the summer and is nearing completion. It included an upgrade to the LED lighting, which was offset by an Efficiency Manitoba rebate. And this, my understanding is the last light went up today, so that should be pretty much complete. Once again, this was a grassroots project that started in the school, so kudos to the principal and the students who made this happen. So now the look ahead. We have a few irons in the fire. We've completed a survey of the Oak Bank complex, and I'm looking forward to working with the RM of Springfield on a drainage plan. Reached out to them recently just to kind of start the process, just to make sure that we're not doing something that's going to affect people downstream. With the overnight temperatures, as I mentioned, we're going to be looking to start firing up those boilers soon. And I'll be hitting the road again, looking forward to school tours in the fall, checking in with the principals. I think we're continuing discussions on Capital D projects that they might be requesting. So that'll be October, so looking forward to that. So that's pretty much it for me. Basically, I'd just like to take the opportunity to send some thank yous out. Right off the hop, I'd like to thank my predecessor, Derek Ryback, for doing all he could to ensure a smooth transition. As I've said before, anyone else would have walked away and let the new guy figure it out himself. But Derek cares too much about the people in this division to see me falter, and I appreciate his help. I'd also like to thank Jody Thiessen for her patience and guidance as I get accustomed to the role. We'll get there. And I want to thank the board and our staff division-wide for all the welcoming words and support. It's been a very humbling experience assuming this role, and I look forward to serving the division. It takes a community to make a school system thrive, and from what I've seen, we can look forward to great years ahead, so I appreciate it. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Neil. Well done. You can breathe now a little bit as to where it is. No, nice. Any questions for Neil from anyone? Trustee Boyton.
I just have one. It's about the playground inspections. Were there any concerns that were noted out of that inspection?
Yeah, there were a few items noted. We're just going through the inspection right now as well as quotes to address those concerns. Nothing terribly severe. Of course, our wood structures, they kind of deteriorate a little bit quicker than the other ones. So there is a lot of attention required to some of the wood structures as well as retaining walls around the play areas because they're on the ground. They tend to deteriorate a lot faster. So we're just going through that right now and hoping to get that done before the snow flies.
Anyone else? Neil, I've got a couple for you. Do we have a lift at Hazel Ridge School yet?
A lift at Hazel Ridge School. Yes, we do. And yeah, it's right now it's operational. My understanding is that they're using the area as we speak. So yeah, it's there and it's functioning. And it has been inspected.
Thanks. You mentioned that you have some goals. Great to see. So I'm always going to ask you these questions whenever I see you. You said you had a goal of a timely ID and resolution to issues, and you have a goal of maintaining the school division's buildings. You've been at it for 4 months. If I were to ask you how those goals are going, what would you say to me?
Oh gosh, yeah, still a steep learning curve, absolutely. Summer was very busy, and unfortunately there really wasn't a lot of time to get to know the schools, and that's another thing that I'm looking forward to as part of my school tours. I still managed to get lost in Beausejour early years with that roundabout, so I'm hoping to master that by the end of the year. But yeah, it's definitely one of my goals is getting to know the schools, especially what their highest priorities are, and then advocating for the school division in order to try to get those projects completed. That'll be the next step for me too, as well as learning the process.
Okay, so you're at a little disadvantage as you're 4 months in, but I ask almost everybody this question that come and present to the board. In January and February, the board decides on a budget as to where things are. And if it's too early to ask this question, that's okay. We'll never ask you again, but no, I'm just teasing. Part of it is that what would you've got 9 trustees now listening to you. What are some of the priorities that and maybe if you don't have it, that's fine too, but what would you tell 9 trustees?
I actually received an email from Rene Lambert, who's the head of our maintenance with MASBO, and he's provided us with an email that he's getting ready to head into a meeting with the province to discuss some of our concerns. Right off the hop, I would say that the roofs and our roof replacement is probably the highest priority in this division, just from what I've seen after this past summer, especially with all the rain that we've had lately. That's kind of one that I've identified as probably our division's highest priority.
Okay, so I'm going to give you another opportunity later on to answer that question and get the information to the board. Because part of it is roof replacements really has not come from the school division, that comes from the province, right? As far as the school division is concerned, and I'll ask you later on, it's really about what are some of the things that we should be thinking about when we think about your budget. So you don't have to go ahead and answer that, but I'll come back to you certainly with you. I think I told you this a little bit earlier, but I think most of our trustees are hearing very good things about your first 4 months of being on the job. And so thanks for the work that's going on. Is there anything else anybody else wants to say before we make sure that Neil stays for the rest of the meeting? And Trustee Nickel.
When I first talked to you 4 months ago, I told you one of the things I wanted to do was make sure that school was, outside the school was very clean. So I don't know whether, I went and inspected about 3 weeks ago. So I don't know whether you cleaned it before, after I talked to you, or whether it was cleaned before, because I was surprised how clean it was. So I'm just saying that next time you go to Whitemouth School, take a look at the outside so you can see how good it is, and I'd like to see it kept that way.
Yeah, I was there last week and we did a walk around the school, and the school does look really nice. The exterior reno to the north and to the west there of the school elevations looks fantastic. Yeah, I think the school looks really good. As the areas that you identified that might be an area of concern, we'll keep an eye on, absolutely. That's probably an item that we'll have to watch division-wide, is maintaining these limestone facades, because they are, some are pretty rough in the division. So I'm working on that one right now.
Trevor, yeah.
Just to reinforce the comment that was made, yeah, we are hearing from our school leaders very positive feedback on our new maintenance manager. They appreciate you know, his responsiveness, his communication, and his, you know, willingness and efforts to you know, make their schools safe places and you know, respectable places for kids to be. And I think the best part is we're getting that positive feedback, as Neil says, no to a lot. And so you can tell that efforts are sincere and genuine. We get that. And one other thing I just want to mention, Neil, and maybe you want to speak to it just a little bit. I was surprised it didn't show up in your report, but maybe it's just because it's in the early stages. But it would align with your goal of the timely identification and planning of resolution of concerns. You've talked to us about implementing a very formal ticket system for schools to enter, you know, work orders to prioritize things and organize the maintenance department.
I appreciate, yeah. This was at the suggestion of Gord Tulloch, so I appreciate his, and he reached out early on and suggesting this. Basically, it's still kind of, we're kind of midstream right now. We haven't quite perfected it. But basically, what we'd like to do is utilize the program that Service Desk that ICT uses to make service requests, and make it have our own little offshoot where people can send maintenance requests. We just feel that it'll give us an opportunity to keep track of items, outstanding items. Oftentimes I'll go to a school to go see 1 or 2 things, and then people pull me over and introduce me to 5 more things. So, and then the phone rings on the way home, and then I often, sorry, I forget, maybe until you remind me again. So I just really want to make sure that we're not dropping the ball on a lot of these things. So that's in early stages. We kind of did a bit of a test run, and then schools opened up, and then that became our focus for the last couple of weeks. But I look forward to reconnecting with Gord to ICT, and hope to have that ready. I'd like to have it ready as soon as possible. So.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in. Ticketing system, it's refreshing to bring new technology into this environment. Not knocking anything the past maintenance manager, Derek Ryback, did for the organization. He really set a great foundation for Neil to kind of get on board and hit the ground running. So I have to say a huge piece of his onboarding was learning from his predecessor, and Derek sharing information even after he's done. Even in the summertime, once in a while, it was a quick a text message, hey, do you remember where this was put? You know, those kind of things. And because we had a great relationship, he's been able to help us learn as well. Other things that I want to point out too in Neil's situation is he's also working with a new secretary as well. Rita Ness retired, and Roxanne Cook is now the newbie on the block. And between the two of them, their communication has been wonderful. I'm always in the know, knowing what's going on. It's really good to see that teamwork happen. So the two of them, I think they're set up for great success, and I've been hearing really good things as well. So, and that I always pass on to Neil whenever I get a chance. Usually after our 2-hour long conversation with the box of Kleenex and telling him it's going to be okay. No, no, it's been really, really good. It's been very, very good to see that things are getting done, and he's not missing things. So that's really good.
So Neil, certainly on behalf of the board, thanks very much for the work that's going on. It's been very positive with us, so kudos to the work that you're doing. We appreciate it, and enjoy your evening.
I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening as well.
So we're going to move on to our minutes. 5.1 is be it resolved that the board adopt the September 2nd inaugural board meeting minutes. Need a mover and a second. A move by trustee Boydson and seconded by trustee Smith. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Passed 9-0, thank you. We also have minutes from our September 2nd regular board meeting. Be it resolved that the board adopt the September 2nd regular board meeting minutes. Moved by trustee Rowan, second by trustee Dent. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Passed 9-0, thank you. We have our superintendent's report. Mr. Reed.
Yeah, a few highlights, early on in the school year. As trustee Rowan pointed out earlier, Mr. Gasperdi, one of our division principals, and myself, we had the chance to attend the Oakbank Parents for Ukrainian Education meeting and just bring them up on speed on the division's plan for the Ukrainian language program review. They were very receptive and excited to participate and see the results of that, which we told them we would be presenting to the board in December. Just a reminder to everyone that Monday, September 30th, I'm sorry, do I have the wrong day on there? Correction. September 30th is the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. And of course, to recognize this day, Schools in Sunrise will be organizing events to recognize and promote the learning of topics associated with the day. Of course, now we know we're into the second year where September 30th is a provincial statutory holiday, and our schools and sites will be closed on that day. Also related to September 30th as a date, that is traditionally the day that we do our pupil enrollment counts for Manitoba Education and Early Childhood Learning. That would determine our funding for the school year. There was a change in legislation that no longer, of course, occurs on September 30th with being a statutory holiday. We did it last year on a day different than that was identified by the province, but the province has now introduced legislation that on an annual basis that will happen on the first Wednesday in October. So this year that's actually happening on Wednesday, October the 1st. So the date will move on an annual basis, but the first Wednesday in October is the day that our schools will take and submit their enrollments for funding purposes. And overall, the division has experienced a smooth start to the 25-26 school year. And that, of course, doesn't happen with all the vast majority of that work happening at our schools. And so a big thank you to our schools, the staff, our school leaders, and our operational departments for welcoming students and families into the new school year.
Thanks, Mr. Reed. Any questions for him? Okay. Thanks, Trev. One of the messages that you put down at the end, at the bottom there, was a reminder to parents is that if they have any questions, certainly give their teacher or their schools a call first. And then certainly if they're not getting where they need to be, certainly they can get a hold of the division office. Thanks for reminding people certainly about that. That's appreciated. We have our board meeting, our board reporting schedule. It's there for information for trustees to keep us organized as to what are some of the things that are going on. You'll see the list then in yellow. Go ahead, Mr. Reed.
Yeah, just noting that the grade 1 date report card data was supposed to be presented this evening, but unfortunately our ICT department had some trouble pulling that data from term 3 last year. We were able to pull term 1 and 2 quite successfully throughout the year last year to present that data, but some hiccup in the system with pulling our final data for the year. So we will get that ironed out and bring that report forward at a future meeting.
Any questions on the board reporting data or the schedule? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Reed. Any questions for Mr. Reed's report? Okay, thank you. Jody, Secretary Treasurer report.
All right. I'm not going to scroll through my screen because often it gives you guys the purple screen of death. So we're just going to leave it on one page. Seem to do well with Neil's presentation. So in regards to the Secretary Treasurer report, we talk about the various departments. Last board meeting, I think we had some questions on what do we have left on our interactive display. The board in the 24-25 budget set money aside to help for projectors and interactive displays like smart boards and lofts. So we've been deploying that over the course of the summer and purchasing those displays at the end of June. And over the course of the summer, schools have been receiving these ones. So in the report, it identifies what schools have been completed. We have a number of schools still to be installed. SCI, Centennial by the end of the year, or end of September should have some, and should have their 2 interactive displays installed. Electabani Senior will be scheduled for a later date. So the department is just trying to coordinate that. A number of them did go in, lots of installing and cabling and rewiring, but it's been a process to say the least. But information's there. I shortened the report to identify less things for maintenance because we had the maintenance manager tonight. So a couple things, real big things I wanted to point out to the board. One, as I have on the screen, it's a letter that we sent out to parents advising them that we now have online payment options for families. So earlier in the year, in the week I should say, September 9th, 10th, and 11th, there was various messaging that went out to the applicable schools that were ready. Electabani Senior, Hazel Ridge School, Beausejour Early Years, Whitemouth, and Ecole Edward Schreyer School all had a message sent out to the parents saying we now accept online payments. Some schools like Electabani Senior and Edward Schreyer didn't have payments or items to be purchased right away, but this week as I was reviewing what schools have set up, Electabani has a field or has 2 items that families can now pay online. This Gillis School is also available. They're just working on, parents will have the option to pay for Terry Fox items, as well as their field trip form. We now allow parents to sign off on field trip forms online. So that'll be more seamless. And it is new to everybody, so everybody's learning at the same time. Other schools like Centennial, Oakbank Elementary, SCI, and SMS, they're going to be onboarding later on. They'll send out a message to their families when they have items to be purchased. So they will be, all the secretaries and staff have received training, but there's nothing to be paid for at this time. So it's going well, a lot of communication back and forth with the secretaries. I'm happy to see that we are creating online forms for families to, they'll get a message saying, hey, there's something in your items to either approve or pay for, and then they can go online and sign off. So it's been exciting because this has been a project 2 years in the making from start to finish. So we're here, here's the information, and pretty exciting stuff. The last thing I wanted to bring to the board's attention is the Manitoba Schools Insurance Program, MSI, has asked school boards and school divisions to participate in an assessment evaluation, and we're to provide the additional information for assessments on schools that either meet the criteria of a high school, middle years, and elementary school. So they've been asking for us to participate in that. We've been busy working on that, as well as they've been identifying the challenges of renewing our insurance this year. They've asked, or they've identified that our insurance has been extended to the end of September, and we should anticipate a possible extension again due to the wildfires that took place this summer. So we haven't actually received a policy yet. It is a matter of HUB and MSBA, our Manitoba Schools Insurance Program, to secure that insurance policy. And at this time, no underwriters want to insure us due to the closeness of these wildfires. Now that the wildfires should be done, we should be able to secure insurance. But again, this may impact our premiums, risk assessment, things like that. And I think that's why this year's renewal program, they usually ask us a lot of questions. There were a lot of questions and then more some this year. So I just think that the underwriters that are securing these insurance policies are just doing more due diligence and asking more questions. So that's the update.
Any questions for Jody? Trustee Smith.
My question was regarding the field trips, not so much the payment side, but normally there's the two papers, one with the emergency information. Do teachers normally take those on the field trips with them? So how would that work? Like the contact information, like if something happens on the field trip, how will that part of the field trip form go with it?
So there's a report that can be produced that shows the fill-in boxes. So as they fill in the boxes for the field trip forms, who your emergency contact is, a report can be produced to show that information that this student, their emergency contact. Yeah.
Anyone else? Trustee Rowland?
I see you've mentioned in the report that you have 2 buses have arrived and 3 more coming next week, but we've actually purchased 7 buses this year. Have I missed that we got 2, or are they coming yet?
Yeah, they're still coming. They're on, yeah. So we have 3 more coming and then still more to come. Yeah.
Anyone else? 3 questions, Jody. You talk about ICT, interactive display update. So I'm going to choose Hazel Ridge. Hazel Ridge 2 installed. Does that mean that, are there some still in Hazel Ridge? Or does that mean that everything at Hazel Ridge was installed?
That's everything in Hazel Ridge that needed to be installed is installed.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. That would mean for all the other schools as well. Thanks for that. That online payment, can you keep us updated, the board, certainly where we are with the different schools getting updated? And the MSI insurance is a little bit of a concern that we need to go ahead and pay attention to. Speaking from personal experience, when, you know what, living close to those wildfires and people not getting house insurance when they're purchasing because we're too close, I think that we need to stay close to that, and we need to, if we need to involve the province to help us, because we're not the only school division that'll be close to those wildfires. And so what does that mean? Probably a good idea for resolution, I think, where that's coming. Okay, anyone else? Are we good? Okay, thanks, Jody. So now we move on to board business, reading progression data final. It's me, Mr. Reid. Lars, go ahead.
Have the report there, and you guys are pretty good at reading things over, so I'm not going to read it out. I think I will highlight one significant thing before anything else, is that this is the first time the data has been collected. I've noted on the bottom here that this would not yet be considered valid or consistent data. There is a whole bunch of student demographics that go along with this data that we've created to collect this, and teachers have received some training on this, but there's more training that teachers are required to use the system, and we've improved the system by being able to import a whole bunch of student data from the division, so we know that the data about male, female, a bunch of grades, homeroom, stuff like that is automatically imported. It's less work from the teacher and it'll be more reliable data. The big trend that we noticed for sure is that there's an inconsistency between what kids have on the report card and what the progressions are saying on both ends of the spectrum, and of course harder to tell in the middle. We have a significant number of students with a 4 on the report card, but they're categorized as red on the reading or the writing progressions. And we have some kids who have a 1 on the report card, yet they have a green. So we don't honestly know what that means, other than it's something we have to address. It's already been discussed at our first clinician meeting. It's going to be a topic at our student services meeting coming up, and it's a topic that we're going to dive pretty deeply into at CELT, because we're, first time looking at this data. That chart there for you, I just noticed as I was looking at this, there's somewhat of a typo, because it says a brief snapshot of the number percentage. It's the percentage. So when you look at things in a little more detail, some patterns and questions emerge where it's like, oh, it would make sense that the kids in kindergarten, which is grade 0 on here, I had to convert kindergarten to 0 to make Excel work. But of course they would be mostly at green because they're not expected to know much. So, oh, that's not a surprise. So you wouldn't expect to see many kids at kindergarten in red or green just because they're all at the beginning level. It wouldn't be surprising that there's more kids who are struggling as they go on because the expectations get higher. The degree to which that would change, I think it would be, we would expect that no matter what we did, there would be at least 5-10% of kids that continue to struggle, just because we all come out differently and we all have different skills and challenges, and there will be people who struggle at certain things. I think optimally, if we had 80% of the kids at green, we would be ecstatic. That would be phenomenal. This is a snapshot of where we are right now, and what the data tells us is not necessarily where things, I wouldn't be super confident this is an accurate reflection of where things are at. It's the first time we're looking at it.
Thanks, Lars. Questions? Trustee Dent?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we would be considering literacy progressions for the other languages that we offer, for French and Ukrainian.
Not in Ukrainian, and I don't know, but there is in French. Yes, because in this data, one of the demographics is a language program, and it's French, so those kids are captured in here as well. Good question.
Just to follow up on that, well, we've been working in Sunrise with the reading and writing progressions for a number of years now. I'm going to say 10, 12 plus years. The province has released provincial documents that are in draft form this year and are to be implemented next year. So as of next year, we probably will no longer be using our Sunrise progressions, because we'll be shifting to use the provincial ones. And so they have produced an English and a French immersion progression to be used. And so.
Anyone else? Trustee Nicol?
I'm really concerned about these marks. I mean, hopefully they're not accurate, because in grade 8, we only got 30% of the kids that can read according to expectations. In grade 1, we have 92%. So what happened between grade 1 and grade 8? I know they're not the same kids, but I just can't believe these are accurate.
Yeah, no, we would agree with that. We've actually dedicated the entire afternoon at our next CELT meeting to lead our principals through this. So I just want to say thank you to Lars. He did a tremendous amount of work with this data, and as we head into the principal meeting next week, He's actually isolated all of the divisional data by school, and each school would be getting their own school-based data to kind of look at, and we're going to go over the divisional data, and there's lots of questions like, is this data surprising given what we know and what we've learned about in the last few years about how students learn how to read and maybe some of the practices that all schools in Manitoba that have been using? Why is it so inconsistent with our report card data? Because, you know, when we look at our grade 7s and we see that 18% of them are in the green of the reading progression, we also know when we do get the grade 1 to 8 report card data that 80% of the kids are scoring 3 or 4 in the report card. So why is that? Is that a lack of understanding of our middle years teachers in terms of how the progressions are supposed to work and their misreporting? It's also when we look at it times where a significant majority of our students in the division switch schools. You know, from Gillis and OBE at 5 to 6 at Schreier, and from OBE to SMS from 5 to 6. And sorry, the other was 6 to 7. And so there's more questions that we have other than the fact that, as Laura's pointed out, we're not sure that this is a valid set of data. But if it's not, why not? And how do we then use these progressions to get informed data? So that is clinicians' conversations, it's a student services conversations, and it's definitely a school leader, principal's conversation that's going to be coming up next week. So.
Alicia, and then I'll get to you, Melissa.
I just had a question. Cause when I went to school, we were phonics, and then it went to reading recovery, and now it's back to phonics. So I'm just curious, what years were here to there, if it had anything to do with it?
Don't quote me on these dates, of course, but I'm going to say into the early 90s we saw a shift away from phonics to some different practices, and then into the, depending on the jurisdiction and the way that the information was communicated, mid to 2014, 2015, 2016, we started to see louder voices about moving back in another direction. So.
I'm just curious to know if there's a way, and it's not something that I necessarily need as a trustee, but when you're looking at things from the clinician side of things and looking at how you're going to approach things going forward with teaching and whatnot, is there a way to extrapolate from this data information on students that have specific learning disabilities that maybe aren't going to be expected to be in that green zone?
This set of data is the first time we've been able to dive so deeply into any topic in my entire career. With the demographics that we have put in, we're able to pull stuff from Clever, so any diagnosis that's entered in Clever is able to show up in here. So it's the first time we're going to be able to get a set of data that this time around it wasn't fully populated because teachers had to put it in. The next time around I'm going to be able to push it divisionally, so we'll be able to see where are they on the reading progression, what report card mark they have, are they boys, are they girls, are they open to a discipline, do they have a diagnosis listed, are they on modified adapt. So we have all of that, but it's just right now it's this big collection of data that's generating a bunch of really good questions. So when you look at the data and say, hey, how come all these kids are red? When you see the actual kids, it's like, oh, that kid is on individualized programming, but it's part of the data. That kid was homeschooled and it's their first 2 months in school. Then you get to see why, so oh, that makes sense why they're red, but there is still an alarming number of students that's like, ooh, there shouldn't be that many kids that are red. That is true.
Anyone else? So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to come back in April, May, and talk to us a little bit about the data and what you've learned from the discussions, and then what are we doing about where we are. It's too early for you now, and I think that part of it is it's great that you're having those conversations, but at the end of the day, we're always going to be asking you the question, what do we learn from it, and what are we doing about it? Fair? Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Just a couple closing comments. If we looked at the reading columns there, and we looked at the grade 3 and the grade 4s, that would be the data that I think we would roughly expect for any student population in terms of achievement. Right? If we would say our Sunrise data was somewhere around that grade 3, 4 level consistently for all of our students, the research tells us that would be about the expected achievement of any group of students. And so that's kind of, while we want everybody in the green, are we going to get there with everybody's different brains and the way they work? I'm not sure we ever will, but that's sort of the target. The last thing I just wanted to point out too is when we were talking about this report, we could have just simply brought the totals column as the report. Right? We could have brought that, and then that does not necessarily paint as startling a picture, And so some of the reports that, if we do provide divisional totals, but Lars and I had the discussion. It's like, no, we wanted to bring the full picture of the data, even though it shows some trends that may not be flattering in terms of our current practice. And that's the really important thing about data is, it may not always tell you the story that you want to hear, but then it does provide you the opportunity to go out and have conversations and do things about it. And like I say, the work on this data was done by Lars, broken down, all our schools are going to get it, and so we're going to be able to dig in and really have some conversations about what's going on, either with our instruction or with our assessment and reporting. We don't know which one it is, and so, but we endeavor to find out.
So Trevor, that's a really good comment because you're right. As of right now, the data is a bunch of numbers to us. It's more about what are we doing about it, and then what are you telling us is really what is important for us. So I think that nobody wants to have low numbers, but what are we doing about it as to where we go to find that out. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I know Trustee Boyson and I were just talking. I wonder how COVID plays into this as well. Thinking that was 5 years ago. So looking at grades 6, 7, and 8. That would be in grades 1, 2, and 3 when maybe some of those fundamentals had were to be taught. So curious, love the document. Looking forward to seeing this kind of evolve over time and seeing how this information changes. So thank you, Lars.
Anyone else? So thanks, Lars. Thanks, Lars and Trev. We're going to move on from the reading progression data to graduation data. Mr. Reed.
Sorry, the report is there for you to review. I think the first page of the report probably looks familiar. That's the traditional format I think this report has come forward in. This year I added a second page onto it, and that's what I wanted to kind of speak to a little bit. The province tracks graduation rates, 4-year graduation, 5-year, and 6-year. What's important to note is they track those rates. Those aren't the same students going forward year after year. The 4-year graduation rate encapsulates or grabs the kids that started grade 9 in 2020, and the 5-year graduation rate, of course, grabs the students that started in 2019. So that's a different group of students, and so that's why you see that the 6-year graduation rate may or may not be as high as the 5-year graduation rate. You'd think more students would be graduating in year 6 as the numbers continue to build, but we need to remember that those are different groups of kids. And so just in terms of like the Sunrise context, I put the Sunrise data down there compared to the provincial data. You'll see that, again, I've used the language before, it's not a competition, but it's always nice to see that, when we as a division are outperforming provincial averages. So you can see that we actually do have some very nice graduation rates there, especially when we consider the 5- and 6-year graduation rate. I will say, I also put a bit of a ranking down there, a position that where Sunrise students, sort of fall into place when we consider the provincial data, a bit of a ranking. And we would see that our four-year graduation rate, we rank a little bit lower for the 2020 cohort, and that would be consistent actually across all of the cohorts. But we also have at least one school, maybe a couple, where they don't necessarily promote a four-year graduation. That you know, graduation really is achieving 30 credits, and it does not have to be done in 4 years. So it wasn't a surprise to me when I saw that we had a little bit lower performance on the four-year graduation rate, because we've had that conversation in a couple of the schools in Sunrise. And so I think when we start to pick those kids up that start graduating in 5 and 6 years, we see that kind of on a provincial position, we rank actually very high. I did look at this over a course of a number of school years, and honestly, I think we can say that there's really only 2 divisions or kind of groups of schools that consistently perform higher than Sunrise, and that is the DSFM, so bravo to them as a division in the work that they do. They are consistently the highest performer in the province, and the group of funded independent schools actually has a very high graduation rate. Other than that, if you were going to look at who is consistently in that 6, 7, 8 range year after year after year, it's Sunrise. The other schools that sort of achieve higher than Sunrise seem to pop in and out, up and down. I would say that we're a very, very consistent performer. And at the end of the day, we look at a lot of data as we go through the years at different grade levels. Our graduation rates, I think, is something that our students and our staff and our school division can be very proud of. And so this is, I think, one of our strongest pieces of data that we can lean on to say that in Sunrise there are good things happening. So,
Comments from anyone? Trustee Nicol?
It'll be very interesting 4 years from now, looking to see what the reading rate in grade 8 and the graduation in grade 12. Then we'll probably know if we're getting an 85% graduation rate, maybe the information in grade 8 wasn't as accurate as we thought it would be.
Anyone else?
They'll just use AI to solve all problems.
The comment that you made, and certainly when you showed us the data about 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and where you compare to every other school division, yeah, you know what, and we talked about that. You know, that's kind of interesting data as to where we are. And yet in our 5 high schools, we're very different in our 5 high schools as well. And so, you know what, we don't have that snapshot of it, but the overall part of it is as to where we are as a division. Very interesting and very good to see kind of where we stand. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So we have our literacy intervention. You want to talk about that?
yeah, so as the trustees know, in the spring of 2024, we made the decision to kind of move away from the Reading Recovery Program, but the staffing remained in place in schools as literacy support teachers or literacy intervention teachers. We've talked about the criteria that schools were given before in terms of how they were supposed to use that staffing, and we can report that all schools are following the criteria. Just 2 pieces of data we can look at is, number one, I just pulled a comparison of the number of students that were being serviced. So the left-hand column there is the total number of students that was serviced in the 3 school years prior to 24-25. And then the right-hand column is the number of students that were seen by the literacy support or intervention teacher in the single year. And so you can see that, you know, the change on, certainly at the surface level, we are supporting a much larger number of students, you know, through the new format. When we want to look at now, are we achieving, you know, the same results or similar results? I would say we can't even really, unfortunately, look back necessarily at the reading recovery results, because what we often, the research tells us now is that 3 years after the fact, any gains are probably lost. But when we look, I just asked the schools for a bit of an anecdotal comment in terms of what the difference has been or how they were measuring success. Most of our schools are sort of using different numerical values or scales to do that, so it was hard to put it together in a concise report to share with the board. But there is an anecdotal comment there from all of our schools that do have literacy support staffing, just in terms of how they're doing. Pulling this data kind of in the future is going to be a little bit easier in terms of assigning values to it with the introduction of the provincial literacy screener. And so we're going to have a consistent screener across all of our schools where we're going to be able to see the growth of our students and be able to track those that are seeing our literacy support teacher. And just a side comment to the report, we're rolling out that training this week here at the Education Center. Today was the first day that we had all of our grade 1 teachers in, all of our grade 2 teachers are coming tomorrow, and all of our grade 3 teachers are coming in on Friday as we kind of kick off the training of the provincially mandated use of literacy screener. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Trevor here? Trustee Harris?
So I don't see the word literacy support teacher pluralized. There's a single teacher that handled 293 of these, that total count on the right hand side.
Thank you. Of 6 of our schools, we have a 0.5 FTE teacher, and 2 of the schools have a 0.75 teacher. And so I believe across the division we have 5.5 teachers spread across our schools to support literacy support.
Anyone else? So Trev, when we're looking at data, I'm always looking at, and it's great for us to show what teachers are doing, but I don't want to see how teachers are improving. I want to see about how kids are improving all the time. So when I'm going to look at data and the rest of the board, so I'm just going to choose, I'm going to go down to where it says PowerView. It talks about the literacy and intervention teacher provided small group instruction alongside the classroom teacher, blah, 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 and the majority of the students involved make significant progress. That's what I'm kind of looking for is when we have those teachers, when we're putting in 5.5 teachers in the school division, are they changing things with kids? Yes, they may be changing the way that they're delivering their strategies about how they're teaching, but at the end of the day, I still want to know, is it the kids that are learning? And so thanks for going ahead and showing that as to with that way. Alicia?
If I remember correctly, reading recovery, there was often a waiting list to get in with the people, right? And there was one-on-one. So even now, there's more kids benefiting by this just off the bat. And so right there, because I remember one of my kids was in reading recovery, so he was lucky to get in, but I do know a lot of kids didn't get in because there was waiting lists. So I can see right now the change is already helping.
Anyone else? Okay, thanks for sharing that data. The strat plan review, you've given us a kind of a layout. We probably need to spend some time as a board doing that in probably one of those learning sessions with our board. But you want to take us through any other comments that are on there, Trev?
Yeah, it's just you're in the final year of your current strategic plan. So you've got some options going forward. Last year you did come up with an action plan for your community connections part of your strategic plan. You could do another action plan for this year, or you could spend your time simply developing the action plan, for your strategic plan for the next 3 years this year, or you could do a combination of both. If you were going to ask me for a recommendation, I would say that most of what's in your current strategic plan is reasonably well operationalized in the schools. There's probably not too much left work for the board to do at this point in time, that your efforts are probably best focused at this point in time and spending the time this year developing your new strategic plan. And I just wanted to highlight that the DPAC meeting is going to come up, you know, in a future item on your agenda, but I think that, you know, you kick off your conversations about your strategic plan at your DPAC meeting coming up in October, in terms of getting some feedback from your parents in terms of where do they think our division needs to go in the next number of years.
Thanks, Trevor. So we're not going to spend hours on this because we do need to spend probably a couple hours on this. It is something that we will look at, but anything from the outset that we want to go ahead and talk about right now, other than that we need to plan some time to spend some time on this, and probably even spend some time on it before our DPAC meeting.
The only thing I can see is going through, you know, negotiations with some of the unions. We talk about community connections, which is wonderful, but we don't have a lot of opportunity to connect with our staff. And it would be nice that maybe sometimes when things are happening here in this room, even during the day, that maybe we could know about it and just drop in once in a while, just to get that connection, you know, put a face for us, for the staff, and get to know them a little bit better. Because when we had that big divisional event, that was awesome, you know. But again, not a whole lot of times. Everybody gets broken up into their own areas. But any chance that we get to connect with people, not only our communities, but, you know, our school staff, custodians, bus drivers, everybody, you know, would be great.
Yeah, good point, Lorraine. Anyone else? So taking that then, we talked about doing a little bit of some learning and finding some time. So let's find some time to talk a little bit about this as to where we are. And I like that idea, certainly about, again, for people if they get a chance to come in and meet some of the people and listen to some of the comments, that's a great opportunity for us. Fair enough? Comments on that from anyone? Okay. You have something for information about the Business View magazine article. So if you click on the link, it's a hard copy?
I'm not sure if they produce a hard copy or not. It may only be online. Like the online version is approximately, I think it was 440 pages, right? So it was.
Anyone else? Trustee Nickel?
I thought it was a very interesting article. And I'm not quite sure how we can let the parents know about this article. Because I thought it was I don't know whether you can reprint it in one of a newsletter, whether that's because of copyright laws, but I think that'd be something that we should maybe think of even if we put it in the community connect next year in June, whatever the case might be.
I think, Don, it's a great point. Again, one of the goals that we have is about connecting with our community, and whether that's getting it out for a link in a school newsletter or whatever, getting it onto our web page, those kind of things. Let's check and see about about us being able to go ahead and do that. But absolutely, you know what? For us to connect that way is another way of, kind of just even, have our staff even seen it. Our staff and then our parents and those kind of things. So yeah, good point. So let's see what we can go ahead and do with it, and we'll report back as to where we are. Divisional PAC. Confirm date and planning community. Trev, you want to talk a little bit about this?
Well, just that, you know, Sarah had sent out some information to trustees. It does see that the preferred date that was of interest to the majority of trustees, it wasn't universal, but is Thursday, October the 23rd. And as we get closer, just the board should identify a planning committee of 2 to 3 board members to work with the senior admin team to plan the event. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, I think this is just a great opportunity to start collecting some information on a future strategic plan.
So perfect. So we are looking for some people that are I'm gonna get involved. Are there some others that want to get involved, and then we'll go from there? Or I'll plan it myself, and then I'll give you all jobs, that kind of thing. So, Melissa, you're good. Dawn, you're good. Dustin, you're good. Anyone else want to join? Okay. So we'll go from there and see what we get to. You got the names? Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Say it again.
Like for the divisional packs, have they been told about it?
No, we can communicate that tomorrow. I think we wanted to kind of bring the date forward to this table just to make sure that there's no change, and if we're good with Thursday the 23rd, we can get that date out to schools tomorrow.
Okay, so we're 5 weeks. You know, we've got 5 weeks to this, so we think we should be pretty good. Understood. Fair enough. I think this is you, Jody, the RM of Alexander Zoning.
Sure, it could be me. No, it's, yeah, I attached it for information for the board. Just to inform you folks that the RM of Alexander is amending their zoning bylaw. Major highlight out of here is the preparing or amending the bylaw to recognize residential multi-use and more definitions behind it. So it allows them with more flexibility in a residential area where it was somewhat restricted. It may have an impact down the road to the Sunrise School Division, depending on how many people and how densely populated the areas are going to be. But at this point in time, I don't anticipate anything. This area is usually goes to Lord Selkirk, but there may be folks that may want to be school of choice to Powerview School. So, but it's always interesting to have more information. Sometimes when there is a amendment bylaw like this, other municipalities are in the next year to 2 years, they may consider what other municipalities are doing, and we might see more terms of reference in their amended bylaws also to show residential multi-use or multi-purpose. So that's just information for the board. The province has asked for information or feedback from from the school division. So myself and Lord Selkirk may comment on there, depending if the board has any further comment. But there's nothing of concern at this time.
Thank you. That's good for information. Any comments for Jody? Thanks for that. So we'll move on. Our MSB resolution development. So we did say that we were going to spend a little bit of time on this. It's an action item for us. Is there anything that from any of the trustees that as we move forward to lobby, basically this is all about something that we want the MSBA jointly together to lobby the government for anything. So first of all, the process is it goes here, it goes to Region 3, Region 3 supports it, and it goes to MSBA. MSBA would then vote on it and send resolutions. And remember, last year MSBA they weren't going to take 30, they were only going to take 30 resolutions, only 5 from one area. Well, that's all thrown out because I might have said the wrong thing at an MSBA table saying that wasn't a great idea. So anyways, is there anything that stands out from us about putting something together? Lorraine, go ahead. Dustin?
Sorry, I think you had talked about it earlier, Paul, about insurance for schools that are in a fire zone. I think that's something that likely requires some traction here.
So something that we would then put forward would be something like, be it resolved that MSBA lobby the provincial government to help school divisions when they're having difficulty with getting insurance because of being in wildfire areas, affected areas. Is that something that we could go with? The house comment that I made was a true thing. People could not get house insurance because of the proximity. So if you bought a house this past summer, to get house insurance, you couldn't get house insurance if you were within 25 to 50 kilometers of an active fire. Well, we'll stay away from that, but, so, Sarah, did you get everything that I read? You have to use the microphone.
I have, be it resolved that the MSBA lobby the provincial government to help school divisions when they have difficulty getting insurance because of being in wildfire affected areas.
Okay, so that's pretty good, Sarah. That was pretty good. So we need someone to move that, if we're going to move it. Dustin, so we need someone to second it. Donna, any comments to it? Okay, so then we would, am I screwing something up on you? We can do a hand vote? So how would you like us to do it? Okay, so go ahead, Mr. Harris.
So before we do that on this one, if we have more resolutions coming, can you have multiple motions on this same item?
Okay, so we got the resolution on the table that talks about the wildfires and insurance. Okay, so are we going to vote on this? Okay, so let's go, if there's no more questions, let's vote. Okay, so it passed 9-0, thank you. Are there any other resolutions you were thinking about? Lorraine, you had mentioned one.
I had, but I would like to know what they do with this information. Like, does the health and safety, do they have any plans for this information? Do they look it over and discuss and say, you know, what can they do for school divisions to help, you know, get reports that have less incidents? I don't know what they do with it. They ask for it. Do they just toss it aside, or I don't know.
I can't say for sure, but it's been my experience with workplace safety and health that they collect information for the purposes of compliance. And they need to know that we are compiling the report and the submission of the report is confirming compliance with the legislation. I don't believe, nor have I heard, that they do anything to review or offer support in any way, shape, or form. So I do believe it's just about compliance. So did you want to do anything with that, or? Okay.
Let me think about it. If I think of something over the next few days, I'll look it over. I'll kind of do some digging into some information, and I could always send out an email or something.
So the difficulty with it through MSBA resolutions. The resolutions all need to get into MSBA by October the 1st. They'll be then looked at our region, at all the different region meetings, but ours coming forward is on region 3, is region 3 on October or November the whatever, November the 8th. And so if we don't have it by October the 1st, it's not going on November the 8th, it isn't going to MSBA. And that's fine, but that's the process. Suggestion is that if if we have a resolution that we really need to support, we could have a special meeting to go ahead and get that done. But the comment is that it still needs to be done by, it still needs to be into MSBA by October the 1st. So there's nothing, again, we don't have to, and if we're fine with where we are with the one that we have, then let's move on. Okay, so we don't have a motion that's on the floor yet, but Mr. Harris.
So in the past couple of years, Paul has mentioned at various MSBA meetings how divisions are paying way too much interest on loans, and is there a way for the province to ensure that money can flow more often throughout the year? Has that ever been an actual MSBA done? It was. Okay.
So it was done, and it did, so it was Trustee Dent had brought it together, and then Trustee Dent actually spoke about it at our Region 3 meeting, and it just didn't get a lot of traction. Mm-hmm.
Well, that was last year.
Now, it doesn't mean that we can't resubmit it, but it didn't get a lot of traction with Region 3 or to go to MSBA. So is there anything else? This will be the last thing that I can ask for. Are there any other MSBA resolutions to be developed and put forward for us right now? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. 8.9 has Springfield Collegiate. So be it resolved that the board approve in principle the Springfield Collegiate Institute band trip to Camp Assiniboia, January 9th to 11th, 2026, subject to the superintendent's final approval. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Rowan and seconded by Trustee Dent. Any questions to this? Hearing none, we'll vote. It passed 9-0. Thank you. We have Springfield Middle School. Be it resolved, the board approve in principle the Springfield Middle School band trip to Brandon, Manitoba, March 12th to 13th, 2026, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Moved by Trustee Rowland and seconded by Trustee Dent. Hearing any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote, please. Passed 9-0. Thank you. So we have be it resolved the board approve in principle the Springfield Collegiate Institute band trip to Regina, Calgary, and Banff, April 8th to 12th, 2026, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Dent and seconded by Trustee Rowan. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Passed 9-0. Thank you. Where am I? Dugald. Be it resolved, the board approve in principle the École Dugald School band trip to Brandon, Manitoba, June 5th and 6th in 2026, subject to superintendent's final approval. Moved by Trustee Rowland, seconded by Trustee Boytson. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 9-0. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board approve in principle the École Dugald School band trip. Oh, did that one? Oh no. To Brandon, Manitoba, June 5th and... There we go, sorry. Be it resolved, the board approve in principle the École Parview school trip to Mascot Project, June 11th and 12th, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Moved by Trustee Smith, seconded by Trustee Boytson. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 9-0. Thank you for doing that. So our committee reports and recommendations. So policy committee. So our policy chair is Trustee Rowan. Is there anything news about policy, when you're meeting, anything, have you met yet, that kind of thing?
Our first meeting will be on October 2nd. All information's already up on ESB for any trustees that want to take a look.
And have you got a regular scheduled meeting date?
Our plan is to meet the first Thursday of the month, primarily because we were finding that it was too quick of a turnaround time for when we were meeting the second Thursday of each month, with everything having to be uploaded on Fridays for our upcoming meeting for the third Tuesday of the month.
Can you refresh my memory? Who's your policy committee with you?
I have Trustee Nickel, Trustee Wilson, and Trustee Boyson.
Thank you. And we have the Finance Committee, and that's Trustee Boyson. Trustee Boyson, any updates that you'd like to share?
No, just that our meeting is on Thursday, September the 18th.
Okay.
Who's with me? Trustee Rowland, Trustee Dent, Trustee Nickel, myself.
Thank you. So there's no check register. Education Foundation. Do you want to give a little update to where you are with the Education Foundation, please?
Sure. We have a new committee this year. We'll have yourself as chair, Trevor and myself, and Trustee Dent, and new is Trustee Wilson. So the plan is, according to our procedures, is 4 months after the year end is done, we get together. So that'll be in October, just to select a date on when everybody's available. We'll sit down and kind of go over some of the procedures and some of the topics. One thing that we are working on is the brochure to market or help people know where to go and where to turn to when they want to make a donation. And then because of the online payment system, we can accept payments online for donations. So we're becoming a technological advance now, so pretty excited.
And just to clarify about the process, is that what can the committee decide and what does they have to come back to the board with?
Yeah, great question. So anybody who would like to make a donation can do so. It's our procedures and how the terms have been approved by the court system is that we will have to get approvals for the expenses. So if somebody wants to make a donation of $20,000 or less, the committee, the foundation committee, will approve those expenses. So usually when somebody wants to make a significant donation, like $20,000, before we receive that check, I like to check with the committee to make sure that we're on board with the idea of this donation. Anything beyond that, above $20,000, we then have to take it to the board for approval. So the idea is if somebody wants to make a donation for, let's say, a pool, usually that's a big expense to maintain, and that's maybe more of a board level than a foundation level to make a decision. But if somebody is making a donation for improvement to a classroom or equipment or money towards a playground project, usually that is smaller components that can be approved by the foundation. The foundation will make a recommendation, though, to the board if the project's greater than $20,000. For example, a playground infrastructure is anywhere starting at $100,000 nowadays for a decent normal size. And those kind of projects, we'll want to have a meeting with the school principal, and usually it's a project that the PAC is undertaking, and that'll be a discussion with myself and the school principal to understand where all the sources of funds are from. So then it goes to the committee level, then to the board for approval before we really want to take on all those donations. Because the last thing we want to do is accept donations and then turn around and say, sorry, we actually don't support that project. It doesn't fit in the scope of the foundation. So there's a lot of checks and balances when the project is first presented to myself to make sure that it's even in the scope of the foundation. We don't want to start accepting donations for things that are outside of our education control.
Thanks, Jody. Any questions for Jody? Trustee Rowan?
Jody, you had mentioned a brochure telling people how to make a payment if they were wanting to contribute. Are we also working on something to give out to PACs and whatnot to guide them on how to set up an account within the Education Foundation?
Yeah, and I should clarify that we don't really set up accounts specifically for PACs. Basically, when somebody wants to make a donation, it's owned now by the Education Foundation. We can partner up with them to say, if you want to contribute for a project or the plan is for, say, a playground, we won't designate an account for them. We will have under the foundation that, say, Oakbank Elementary will have a playground fund, but it won't be under the ownership of the PAC. It'll become ownership of the foundation that the, that say the Oakbank committee or the Oakbank Playground Committee may want to put contributions towards that. So it's not necessarily underneath them, but if they want to start marketing or advising people, they can make donations and receive tax receipts. They can just reach out to me and I can walk them through what the process is. We've had experience where all they have to do is direct donations to the fund. I advise either the principal or who the principal may designate as, and I can advise them where or how much is in that fund. Schools have access to those funds as well to know what their balance is sitting at.
And I just want to clarify, Jody, you said the ownership is with the foundation. Well, yes, the money is in the foundation, which is governed by this board.
Okay. Yes, of course.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. And then we have the land ad hoc land planning committee that Chair Rowan, you are. Any updates you want to share with that, please?
Yeah, so you all should have received a meeting invitation through Sarah for a meeting with the arm of Springfield Council. That'll be October 1st. And we're hoping that as many of the board that can be there will be in attendance. So if you could submit your availability to, well, reply to the invite sooner than later, just so we have an idea for numbers, that would be appreciated. We know the timeline, but the finer details as far as where the meeting will be are still being ironed out. So those will come at a later date.
And Melissa, can you give us an update as to the topic, or what are we looking at discussing back and forth?
This is a follow-up from our previous meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So professional development, we have the Northeastman Forum on October the 20th. You just heard the kind of the date that Melissa talked about, the meeting with the arm of Springfield. We have the CNL Whiteshell Regional Gathering. They have 4 spots that are available for trustees. So be it resolved that the board approve up to 4 trustees to attend the 2025 CNL Whiteshell Regional Gathering of Leaders on November the 5th, 2025 in Beausejour, Manitoba. I need a mover and a seconder to this. Moved by Trustee Nicol and seconded by Trustee Rowland. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Okay, so we haven't, it passed 9-0, thank you. So if there are people that are interested, we're going to bring it up, obviously, and then we can send 4 people. So if we have more than 4 people, we'll somehow figure about voting on it. We won't do that tonight, but it is something that'll come up probably on our next agenda about people going. But thank you for going ahead and doing that. So we have our regional meeting. Remember, it's a Saturday, November the 8th at Larders. And there's information that's there. Basically, you're listening to Alan talk a little bit about some strategic plan stuff in the morning, and in the afternoon, we are going to divide up into groups, and we're going to have you doing a little bit of chatting. One of the topics is about a PACs. And it's going to be the same topics that are actually going across the whole region, but you will get we'll give you the topics ahead of time and go from there, but one of them is about PAC engagement. Then the convention the MSBA, PD Day is November the 24th. We talked about that already, and then there's convention information that's out there. We're missing anything about professional development for anyone? Okay. There is no divisional financial summary report, but we probably are going to expect one next time that we get together to give us a little bit of an update as to where we are for where we stood with 24-25. Nice to know information. That's pretty cool, Will Gosh, captain of Jamestown, Jimmy's. When one of our own does those kind of things, it's really good to get some of that information out. So again, the information is there. Good work with the people. Thanks, Sarah, for putting that up there. I noticed one thing that wasn't there. Nice to know, Sarah. There probably should have been something added, that there was a golf match between Team Magnias, myself and my son against Team Reed and Team Harris, and Team Reed and Team Harris came out on top. So that was my punishment for having to go ahead and say that as to where we are. You've got a bunch of MSBA correspondence and upcoming meetings. Thank you for putting that down, Sarah. Do we have any questions from the public, Jody?
No question.
We do need to go back into in-camera. So can we do this one motion? Because I don't think that we're going to have any other motions out of in-camera, or are we? Okay, so here's one of them. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the agreement reached on September the 11th, 2025 with the CUPE Local 1618, Local 1618-00, representing the bus drivers and mechanics, and Local 1618-01, representing the educational assistants and work counselors. The recommended approval is subject to the successful ratification by CUPE Local 1618 membership. Are there any comments? Let's get a mover and a seconder and go from there. Moved by Trustee Nicol and seconded by Trustee Boytson. Are there any comments that anybody wants to go ahead and make? Just officially, I do want to say it was a great process going through with our CUPE union. We're pretty happy with certainly what we've been able to share both ways. So thanks to all the team that worked together, and thanks to the CUPE union that worked on behalf of our CUPE members and our employees. Thanks for that process. So hearing no more comments or questions, we'll vote. So it passed 9-0. That's a great thing for the Sunrise School Division to be able to ratify that ourselves. Thank you for doing that. I'm not sure if we have anything else coming from in-camera, but we are going to go back into in-camera for a couple of items that we still didn't finish. Do we need a 2-3 minute break, or can we go? We'll just we'll take a 2-minute break.